12 hours into a mission with over 100 pounds on their back, Delta operators are not counting miles. They are fighting exhaustion in heat, altitude, or cold, where quitting means lives lost. Most endurance routines would collapse at this point. So how do they build a fuel system and a mind that never breaks first? The answer rewrites everything you think you know about elite endurance, and it starts with the hidden training rule almost everyone ignores. A Delta operator steps off the helicopter with 110 pounds strapped to his body, including armor, weapons, ammunition, water, radios, breaching tools, and medical gear. There is no promise of a quick extraction. The clock starts, and no one knows when it will stop. Missions routinely stretch 12 to 18 hours, and every ounce must be carried the whole way. The heat can push past 100 degrees, turning body armor into a furnace and draining liters of sweat every hour. In the mountains, thin air at 8,000 feet makes each step a struggle for oxygen, even as the load never lightens. In winter, sub-zero wind cuts through gloves and boots, sapping energy and freezing fingers numb. There is no scheduled rest, only brief moments behind cover or in a darkened alley, always alert for the next threat. As one former operator put it, you do not get to drop your ruck when you are smoked. You move until the job is done, or you are carried out. This is the baseline reality Delta trains for: relentless duration, crushing weight, and an environment that punishes every weakness. October 1993, Mogadishu. Delta operators and rangers hit the ground expecting a fast mission. Instead, they fought for survival across 15 hours of urban chaos, moving block to block under constant fire. Each man carried 60 to 90 pounds of gear, body armor, weapons, ammunition, water, and medical supplies through heat that turned the city into an oven. As night dragged on, water and ammunition ran low. A Black Hawk had to drop supplies under fire, but fatigue set in anyway. By dawn, after hours without sleep or resupply, the only way out was on foot. The Mogadishu Mile became a test of will, operators stumbling forward, minds dulled by exhaustion, every step a battle against collapse. Years later in Afghanistan, teams faced a different trial: 14 hours on a mountain raid at 8,000 feet. The air thinned, every breath grew harder, and the cold bit through layers of gear. 100 pounds on the back, hours of climbing, then a rapid assault and a long exfiltration. Here, it was not just muscle that mattered. Operators who had built a deep aerobic base could keep moving, thinking, and fighting when others slowed or started making mistakes. Endurance was not a side effect, it was the difference between mission success and disaster. Inside the body of a Delta operator, the real fuel story is simple. Glycogen, the high-octane carbohydrate stored in muscles and liver, tops out at around 2,000 calories. Even the leanest operator carries over 100,000 calories in fat stores. That is the difference between sprinting for a few minutes and moving under load for 12 hours. Zone 2 training, kept at a pace where you can breathe through your nose and hold a conversation, teaches the body to burn fat efficiently and spare precious glycogen for the moments when speed and power matter most. Most civilians get caught in the gray zone, pushing too hard for true aerobic adaptation, but not hard enough to build real speed. The result is an athlete who burns through glycogen early and crashes before the mission ends. Delta's prescription is clear. 60 to 70% of endurance work stays in Zone 2, tracked by heart rate, about 180 minus your age. 3 to 4 sessions per week, 60 to 120 minutes each. That is the foundation. If you want to understand how real operators train for missions where failure is not an option, subscribe and join the community that studies what actually works. Strength training for Delta operators is not about building muscle for show. It is about maximizing the power-to-weight ratio that keeps every ounce working in your favor. Each pound of unnecessary mass burns extra oxygen and calories, so the focus is on movements that directly support carrying heavy loads over long distances. The trap bar deadlift, sits at the center of this approach, developing hip and leg drive that translates to every step under a ruck. Zercher squats force the body to brace the torso and upper back, mimicking the posture required when gear rides high on the chest. Split squats and step-ups build single-leg stability, essential for navigating broken ground or steep climbs with uneven weight. Loaded carries, whether ammo cans, sandbags, or water jugs, challenge the entire chain from grip to core to gait, teaching the body to maintain posture and efficiency under fatigue. Operators cycle through these lifts 2 to 3 times a week, full body sessions that build structural resilience without tipping into exhaustion. The result is a frame that supports endurance, preserves energy, and prevents breakdown when the mission drags deep into the night. Rucking is not a punishment, it is a practiced skill, and Delta approaches it with surgical precision. The majority of ruck sessions, about 80 to 90%, are kept at an easy walking pace. Operators start with a manageable load, typically 20 to 30 pounds, and focus on mastering the distance first. It is not about speed or suffering, it is about accumulating hours under the pack until movement becomes automatic and joints, tendons, and feet adapt to the stress. Only when a distance feels routine does the weight increase, usually in 5 to 10 pound increments. This conservative approach is grounded in years of injury data and operational lessons. Muscle can handle more sooner, but connective tissue takes months to catch up. One operator recalled that they built up slow. If you tried to jump ahead, you would be limping before the month was out. The rule is clear: never increase distance and weight at the same time. By keeping most rucks easy and only progressing one variable at a time, operators build real capacity without breaking themselves in the process. Every year, military injury reports tell the same story. Most candidates don't quit, they break. Stress fractures, tendon pain, and joint injuries spike when training volume jumps too fast. Muscles can get stronger in a matter of weeks, but tendons, ligaments, and bones take months to adapt. That mismatch is where overuse injuries strike. That is why Delta and other top units enforce a strict rule. Never increase your total weekly ruck or run volume by more than 10 to 15%. If you rucked 20 miles last week, you cap this week at 22 or 23. It's not about being soft, it's about protecting the gains you've built and making sure you're still in the fight when it counts. If you feel a strange pain, joint instability, or your movement changes, back off immediately. No one gets extra credit for pushing through a brewing injury. The operators who survive and thrive are the ones who respect the cap and live to train another day. Subscribe for more real-world training rules that keep you in the game. Strength and endurance are not separate tracks for a Delta operator. They are engineered to work as one system. The body's structural frame, built through targeted strength training, allows each step under a heavy load to waste less energy. Muscles and connective tissue act as shock absorbers and stabilizers, keeping posture solid as fatigue sets in. At the same time, the aerobic base developed through Zone 2 training turns fat into the primary fuel source, preserving limited glycogen for those unpredictable bursts, sprinting to cover, dragging a casualty, or breaching a door. When the aerobic system carries the majority of the work and the structural frame prevents breakdown, movement stays efficient even at hour 12. This synergy is not just about lasting longer, it is about economy. Every calorie and every ounce of effort gets spent where it matters most. Confidence at the Delta level is not built on one-off heroics or random suffering. It is the quiet certainty that comes from thousands of hours under the pack, in the gym, and on the move. Operators trust their bodies because they have rehearsed hardship in controlled, repeatable doses. Behavioral science calls this stress inoculation, scheduled exposure to fatigue, cold, and discomfort until the abnormal becomes routine. The real separator is not who can suffer most in a single session, but who can stay reliable when the mission stretches into hour 14. Operators who chase ego-driven mileage or punish themselves with unplanned gut checks do not last. They break down or burn out. The ones who finish are those who respect the process, back off when the body sends warning signs, and stack small wins until endurance is a foregone conclusion. If you value this kind of readiness over short-term bravado, subscribe and join the community that trains for the long haul. Right now, military and civilian demands for resilience are rising, yet most ignore the disciplined, progressive methods that actually build it. Endurance is not luck or grit. It is engineered, protected, and earned over months. That blueprint works beyond the battlefield. The real test is who is willing to train for uncertainty.